Have you ever done something kind for a stranger without expecting anything in return? What if that one act of kindness came back years later and saved everything you had worked for? Today's story is about a father who had almost nothing, yet gave everything to a little girl who had no one. 17 years later, when his world was falling apart, that same little girl walked into a courtroom and changed his life forever. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't happen overnight. They grow quietly through love, sacrifice, and faith. Stay with me until the very end because this unforgettable story proves that kindness never disappears. It always finds its way home. Before we begin, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Spread Kindness, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more heartwarming stories that remind the world how powerful kindness can be. Marcus Johnson was a hardworking black single father living in Atlanta, Georgia. Every morning before sunrise, he drove an old delivery truck, worked long hours, and still rushed home to spend every evening with his 8-year-old son, Elijah. Life was never easy, but Marcus believed that love mattered more than money. One cold winter evening, Marcus and Elijah stopped near an old subway station after noticing a young homeless girl sitting alone on the sidewalk. She couldn't have been older than 6. Her clothes were torn, her hands were freezing, and she held a small stuffed rabbit that had clearly seen better days. Marcus bought her a warm meal and gently asked where her family was. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered that both of her parents had died, and she had been surviving alone for weeks after running away from an unsafe shelter. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about her. That night he barely slept. He knew he didn't have much money. He already struggled to pay rent and provide for Elijah. But every time he closed his eyes, he remembered the frightened little girl's face. The next morning, Marcus returned to the subway station. She was still there. He made a decision that surprised everyone around him. He contacted Child Protective Services, completed every legal requirement, attended every interview, and after months of paperwork and inspections, he officially adopted the little girl. He named her daughter forever. Her name was Maya. Life became even harder. Feeding 3 people instead of 2 wasn't easy. Marcus worked double shifts, skipped meals, and often wore the same work boots for years because every extra dollar went toward his children's future. Despite the struggles, Marcus filled their small apartment with laughter, bedtime stories, birthday cakes made from inexpensive ingredients, and unconditional love. He always told both children the same sentence. Kindness isn't measured by what you have. It's measured by what you're willing to give. Those words became Maya's guide through life. She studied harder than anyone in school. She volunteered at community centers. She earned scholarships through determination and graduated at the top of her class before attending one of America's best law schools. Marcus couldn't have been prouder. Years passed. His delivery business slowly grew into one of the largest regional logistics companies in the Southeast. Through honesty and hard work, Marcus built an empire that employed hundreds of families. People respected him not only because he was successful but because he never forgot where he came from. He donated food to shelters, hired people who needed second chances, and paid for school supplies for children in struggling neighborhoods. Then everything changed. A powerful competitor accused Marcus of financial fraud. The allegations were completely false, but they spread quickly across television, newspapers, and social media. Investors panicked. Business partners walked away. Banks froze important accounts. Within weeks, Marcus stood on the edge of losing the company he had spent decades building. His legal team tried everything, but the evidence seemed stacked against him. The final court hearing arrived. Reporters crowded outside. Employees prayed for good news. Marcus walked into the courtroom feeling older than ever before. As he sat quietly beside his attorney, the courtroom doors suddenly opened. A confident young black woman wearing a navy blue suit walked inside carrying several organized files. Marcus looked up. His eyes widened. It was Maya. She had become one of the youngest constitutional attorneys in the state. Marcus smiled proudly, but he had no idea why she was there. The judge asked her to identify herself. "My name is Maya Johnson," she answered calmly. "I am here to represent the truth." The room became silent. Over the previous 6 months, Maya had quietly investigated the case after noticing several suspicious details. While everyone else accepted the accusations, she kept searching. She discovered hidden financial records proving that Marcus's competitor had secretly bribed a former employee to create fake documents. She located security footage that had never been submitted. She tracked electronic records showing exactly when the false evidence had been manufactured. Most importantly, she convinced 2 frightened witnesses to testify under oath. One by one, the lies collapsed. The courtroom watched in complete silence as every piece of fake evidence was exposed. The competitors' attorneys had no response. The judge reviewed the new documents carefully before speaking. "All charges against Mr. Marcus Johnson are dismissed immediately." The courtroom erupted with emotion. Employees cried. Reporters rushed outside to announce the shocking decision. Marcus sat quietly with tears rolling down his face. After the hearing ended, Maya walked toward him. Without saying a word, Marcus wrapped his daughter in the biggest hug of his life. He whispered softly, "You saved everything." Maya smiled through her own tears. "No, Dad," she replied. 17 years ago, you saved me. Today I simply returned your kindness." Everyone standing nearby wiped away tears. News of the story spread across the country. People weren't talking only about the courtroom victory. They were talking about a father who chose compassion over comfort. A man who opened his home when he barely had enough for himself. A little girl who grew into a woman of integrity because someone believed she deserved love. Marcus rebuilt his business stronger than ever. Instead of celebrating with expensive parties, he announced something unexpected. He created the Johnson Hope Foundation. The foundation provided housing, education, legal support, and mentorship for homeless children across America. Maya became its legal director. Elijah joined as its financial manager. Together, the family helped thousands of children find safety, hope, and a future. Whenever Marcus spoke at schools or community events, he shared the same message. You never know whose life you're changing. One kind decision can echo for generations. The audience always stood and applauded. Because deep inside, everyone wanted to believe that kindness still mattered. And it does. Every smile, every helping hand, every act of compassion plants a seed that may bloom years later in ways we could never imagine. Marcus never adopted Maya because he expected anything in return. He simply saw a lonely little girl who needed someone to care. Years later, that simple act of love protected not only his company but also the dreams of hundreds of employees and their families. So if you ever wonder whether your kindness makes a difference, remember Marcus and Maya. The smallest act of compassion today may become someone's greatest strength tomorrow. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to Spread Kindness, and share this story with someone who believes the world needs more compassion. Together, one kind act at a time, we can make this world brighter for everyone.